So let's start off with the basics. Religion can be defined as a set of beliefs concerning the cause, nature, and purpose of the universe, usually involving devotional and ritual observances, and often containing a moral code governing the conduct of human affairs. Of course, religion is one of those touchy subjects which every individual seems to have an opinion about, but those most notable include Sigmund Freud, a famous psychoanalyst who believed religion was an expression of underlying psychological neurosis and distress as a means of giving structure to social groups or an illusion in an attempt to control the outside world. Then there's Karl Marx, a German philosopher who famously quoted, "Religion is the sigh of the oppressed creature, the heat of a heartless world, it is the opium of the people." Meaning religion has similar properties to a drug which could reduce people's immediate suffering.
Now that you know the basics, you can better understand the effects of religion on certain groups of individuals. In this video, we'll be investigating the complex question of how having faith in a certain religion can influence the physical and mental well-being of a South Australian teenager. Covering the difference between the terms of spirituality and religion will be first up, with the positive and negative effects of religion next, and finally why teenagers were chosen to be the focus group of this video. Let's talk about the difference between religion and spirituality. Now, these terms are one of those interchangeable concepts that are often mistaken to be the other, despite having quite different meanings. In healthcare literature, spirituality is defined as an individualistic term and is characterized by experiences involving meaning, connectedness, enlightenment, and transcendence. Contrastingly, people speak of religion in more communal terms, characterized by institutionalized practices and beliefs and modes of organization.
So first of all, spirituality and religion, there has been some differentiation between these terms. In your opinion, what do you think mainly defines these terms and separates them?
Sure. My understanding of religion is it's about more organised expressions of faith and belief. So one part of that is that it's the bit about rules and institutions. The other part about it is that I think of religion being something that you do in community with other people. It's also about belonging. Whereas I think spiritually has the potential to be more nebulous, more individual.
Ultimately, spirituality is an easier and less restricting alternative to religion and is capable of providing individuals with an alleviated mindset about life and is the most common practice amongst our generation. Religion, as a practice, is the one that is more susceptible to downfalls. Thus, although all religions can coexist with spirituality at the same time, its many rules and negative affiliations with culture are capable of creating a division which is not good for your soul and especially not good for the greater good of mankind. Now let's move on to the positive effects of religion on the well-being of a teenager. The health of humans often has multiple sources, namely material, social, physical, cultural, and spiritual. We, as physical beings who depend on food, clean air, and water and shelter, are also social beings who need families, friends, and communities to flourish. The biggest and most obvious of these benefits is the Golden Rule, a concept which occurs in some form in nearly every religion, which is to treat others the way we would like to be treated ourselves. This teaching may not be a surprise, but was affirmed and espoused by passages from Gospels, most notably Matthew chapters 7 to 12, that quote Jesus Christ, "Do to others what you want them to do unto you." This is the meaning of the law of Moses and the teaching of the prophets. Many other religions such as Islam and Buddhism also adopt this principle, reinstating that without ethical teachings propagated by religions, there would have been even more conflict and division in the world. Studies have shown that religious attendance once or more per week has led to an extra 7 years of life expectancy, as well as a stronger immune system and lower blood pressure. This is because it puts you in touch with like-minded congregants and connects you with a stronger social network. Religion itself promotes a healthy lifestyle through direct psychological effects on the neuroendocrine systems and by influencing diet, exercise, smoking, drinking, and other lifestyle behaviors, for example, smoking and less alcohol use.
According to Christian Smith, the principal investigator of the MISR, regular religious attendance is often also associated with higher self-esteem and more positive self-attitudes, including view of self, meaningfulness of life, and hopefulness about the future.
Ultimately, religion provides benefits that are good for health and well-being, including social support, existential meaning, and a sense of purpose. However, it should be noted that these benefits can also come from other sources, and correlation does not always equal causation, especially since religion has two sides to it, which is why we'll be investigating the negative effects of religion next up.
Religion can also be a double-edged sword, as many sources and other studies claim that some people turn to religion and God to blame their problems on, such as financial troubles or loss of loved ones. Violence, especially with the recent terror attacks in Paris, America, and Australia, such as the Sydney Siege or 9/11, attacks on the Twin Towers, are often blamed on religion as a source of inspiration for these attacks, noting that Osama bin Laden justified 9/11 by quoting the Quran, or Jim Walker of NoBeliefs.com declaring that belief causes terrorism.
So why do we blame God and religion for all our personal problems, and in turn, how does this negatively affect our well-being and the way we view life? Well, as human beings, our first tendency is to look for external causes to our problems as a means of avoiding personal responsibility. When we're not able to find a clear perpetrator, many religious individuals blame the mean boss, the system, the doctor, and even God. To get more insight into how religion affects believers negatively, we've talked to Chaplain Craig, who works at Trinity College North.
There's obviously some negative impacts that can come about from religion. Have you seen any, or do you think there's any negative impacts?
So if religion was enforced, the religious expression, a Christian expression even, that said you must, it's very dogmatic, you must believe this but don't ever question, that'd be quite negative, because then it would shape people in the religious behaviour but never actually get to the heart of what God is on about.
Religion and God are capable of filling people with fear based on religion's idea of sin, that all people are born sinners or impure souls, and if they do not purify themselves, they will soon be condemned to hell by God, where they will experience eternal suffering, and the only way to avoid this is to prove to God that they are worthy of heaven. First, studies have shown that those who are very highly religious have no issue in reaffirming their beliefs and reaping the positive benefits of their religion, whereas those who are only moderately religious and do not practice religion very highly correlate much higher to emotional disturbances. These emotional disturbances are most likely due to guilt that they do not hold beliefs as strongly as they perhaps should, or hostility that they are expected to share the beliefs of their family and wider community despite not holding these same values. Overall, at its worst, it is posited that integrated religion is violent, irrational, allied to racism, tribalistic, and destroys bigotry, is hostile to free inquiry, contemptuous to women, and coercive toward children and their rights. Most of you watching this are living in a first world country where you have unlimited access to resources such as clean water, nutritional food, education, a roof over your heads, and countless other facilities. Third world countries, however, are the underdeveloped nations of the world, especially those with widespread poverty and predominant culture, and have little access to the facilities described above and extremely high crime rates. Dr. Tom Reeves published a study in the Journey of Religion and Society, suggesting that in places without strong social safety nets to provide people with opportunities for upward mobility, individuals are more likely to rely on religion for comfort. Additionally, in areas with little to no social supports, foundations such as local churches may provide for people's basic needs through free childcare programs, food pantries, and clothing drives. This is why I have gone to the local Anglicare mission right here in Elizabeth to discuss what exactly it is that Anglicare does for the community.
I would say that from our perspective, and I'll just speak from a Christian Anglican perspective, is that we would believe that we are actually doing what the Gospels ask us to do.
Yeah.
Okay, so those Gospels would be about bringing people back into community when they've fallen out of community. Or it's
Many individuals during their teenage years are at a time of their lives in which mental health and self-reflection are extremely critical. part of being a teen is exploring different aspects of identity for the first time, and whilst religion may not be important to many individuals as it was a few decades ago, it definitely still plays a big role in the lives of thousands, which is why I've set out to find out exactly what it means to the teenagers in our communities today.
Well, personally speaking, what does religion mean to you?
Personally, I've never really practiced a religion, but it's like my grandparents have, so you sort of got those same sort of morals passed down. So it's just, about being a better person.
Yep. And what about you?
Yeah, I feel exact same thing. Like, I've lived in a religious family my whole life, but I've never gone further with it myself. But just the values of being kind and just accepting people is...
Yep, that's
As
great.
seen earlier, although teenagers hold many different beliefs on the subject of religion, many agreed that simply experiencing the world around them and respecting others are the most important values.
Ultimately, religion is shown to be a more restrictive and guidelines-based means to submission to a higher power, whereas spirituality is highly intrinsic and therefore often liberating in nature. In terms of physical well-being, there were only mainly positive benefits such as studies, which indicated that religion lowers blood pressure, levels of stress hormones, and oxidative stress through meditative processes. For the emotional well-being, it is posited that the relationship between religion and well-being is mediated by factors ranging from intrinsic purpose to its social aspects. Religion seems to be more predominant in third world countries, established as a coping mechanism for stressful life circumstances, and is most present or most beneficial for those who have suffered from tragic conditions and circumstances, such as loss of loved ones. As a final statement, it seems that the extent to which religion is capable of influencing an individual's well-being, whether it be positive or negative, depends largely on the degree to which religion is integrated.